Driving while wearing a housecoat. Imagine being pulled over in California, not for speeding, not for texting, but because of what you're wearing. This strange law traces back to the early 1900s, when automobiles were still new and lawmakers were desperately trying to understand how dangerous they could be. At that time, long housecoats and loose robes were common indoor clothing, and officials feared these garments could get tangled in pedals or steering mechanisms. The background of the law wasn't by tea about fashion or morality. It was about early traffic safety, in an era with no seatbelts, no airbags, and very little driving experience. The effect of this law today is mostly symbolic, as it's no longer enforced, but it continues to circulate as a reminder of how outdated laws can survive, long after their purpose disappears. For example, a modern driver wearing a bathrobe while heading to a drive-through would never realistically be stopped today. Yet the existence of this law shows how fear shaped early traffic rules. And here is the unsettling part: this isn't the only law written when lawmakers didn't fully understand the future. Self-driving cars can't exceed 60 mph. California legalized autonomous vehicle testing in 2012, but with one major restriction: self-driving cars could not exceed certain speeds. The background of this law came from fear, not of innovation, but of unpredictability. Lawmakers worried that artificial intelligence could not react fast enough at highway speeds, especially in complex traffic situations. The effect of the law slowed development, but increased public trust, forcing companies like Google and Tesla to test cautiously. A real example occurred when autonomous cars were required to disengage AI systems on faster highways, placing control back into human hands. What's shocking is that even today, as technology improves, California still limits how fast machines are allowed to think for us. And if robots are restricted, wait until you hear who actually has more rights than drivers. Peacocks have the right of way. In the 1960s, the city of Arcadia faced an unusual problem. Peacocks were everywhere. These birds roamed freely through neighborhoods, often stopping traffic and causing accidents. Instead of removing them, the city chose protection. The law gave peacocks legal priority over vehicles. The effect is simple but absurd. Drivers must stop and wait, no matter how long the bird decides to stand in the road. There are real cases of traffic completely halted as peacocks slowly cross streets, fully protected by law. This ordinance reflects California's unique approach to wildlife and community identity. But while this law protects birds, the next one was written to protect people from something far more terrifying. Detonating a nuclear weapon results in a fine. During the Cold War, fear shaped legislation in strange ways. In the 1960s, some California cities passed ordinances addressing extreme threats, including nuclear weapons. Shockingly, one such law technically fines anyone who detonates a nuclear device within city limits. The background wasn't realism. It was symbolic reassurance during a time of global panic. The effect today is almost comical, exposing how local laws can become outdated while remaining legally intact. A real-world nuclear incident would involve federal consequences far beyond city law. Yet the ordinance still exists. It's a chilling reminder of how fear once dictated policy. And unbelievably, California didn't stop there. It even tried to regulate the sun itself. Sunshine is guaranteed by law. In 1978, California passed a law that sounds impossible: the right to sunlight. The Solar Rights Act was created during the energy crisis, when solar power became essential. The background of the law was environmental protection and energy independence. Its effect prevents buildings from blocking a homeowner's access to sunlight, especially for solar panels. Real examples include homeowners legally challenging new construction that casts shadows over their property. This law shows California's long-standing commitment to renewable energy. But the next law exists not because of the environment, but because people did something dangerously stupid. Licking toads is illegal in Los Angeles. It sounds like a joke, but California actually had to make this illegal because people were doing it. In the 1970s, Los Angeles saw a rise in dangerous experimentation involving certain desert toads that secrete toxins capable of producing hallucinogenic effects. The background of this law came from a mix of public health emergencies and animal cruelty concerns, as individuals were intentionally handling and licking toads in an attempt to get high. Hospitals reported poisonings, and wildlife officials warned that the animals were being harmed or killed in the process. As a result, Los Angeles introduced restrictions making it illegal to harass, handle, or exploit wildlife in this way. The effect of this law was twofold. It protected humans from serious poisoning and protected animals from abuse. A real-world example would be someone caught capturing a toad in a park and attempting to extract toxins, which could lead to fines or charges under animal protection statutes. This law exists because curiosity crossed a dangerous line, and it proves that sometimes lawmakers are forced to regulate behavior they never imagined. And disturbingly, the next law exists because people ignored danger again, this time involving public pools. Riding a bicycle in a swimming pool is illegal. This law exists because someone actually thought it was a good idea. In the 1960s, public pools became popular community spaces, especially for teenagers attempting stunts and tricks. In Baldwin Park, repeated incidents involving bicycles being ridden into swimming pools led to injuries and expensive property damage. The background of the law was rooted in safety and liability, as city officials realized that common sense wasn't enough to stop reckless behavior. The ordinance specifically banned riding bicycles in public pools. The effect of this law is straightforward. It prevents dangerous stunts and protects public facilities. A real example would be a teenager attempting to ride a bike off a pool deck into the water, an act that could now result in fines or bans from public facilities. While it sounds absurd, this law highlights a deeper truth. Many weird laws exist because someone got hurt. And if you think that's extreme, wait until you hear how fashion itself became a legal issue in California. High heels require a permit in Carmel by the Sea. In 1963, the quiet coastal town of Carmel by the Sea passed one of the most famous fashion-related laws in America. The background was surprisingly practical. The town's sidewalks were uneven, built with tree roots and natural stone rather than flat concrete. Visitors wearing high heels were frequently tripping and filing lawsuits against the city. To protect itself, Carmel required anyone wearing heels over 2 inches tall to obtain a free permit. The effect of this law was not enforcement, but legal protection. It shielded the city from injury claims. Tourists today can still request a permit at City Hall, often as a souvenir. A real example includes visitors being informed of the law by shop owners rather than police. This law proves that sometimes regulations aren't about control, but survival in court. And next, you'll hear how even good intentions, like helping your neighbor, can become illegal. Washing someone else's car without permission. During the severe droughts of the 1980s, California became extremely strict about water usage. Cities also saw rising disputes over property boundaries and unauthorized use of resources. The background of this law combined environmental protection with legal consent. Washing someone else's car without permission could waste water and involve touching private property. The effect of this regulation discourages both waste and neighborhood conflicts. For example, someone attempting to surprise their neighbor by washing their car without asking could technically face a fine, especially during drought restrictions. While rarely enforced, the law reflects California's long battle with water scarcity. And speaking of limits, California didn't just restrict water, it restricted fun too. Mini golf has time restrictions. In the 1970s, suburban expansion brought entertainment venues closer to residential neighborhoods. Mini golf courses, though harmless during the day, became noise problems at night. The background of this law came from residents complaining about late-night laughter, shouting, and crowds. Cities responded by placing curfews on mini golf operations. The effect of the law ensures peace in residential areas while allowing businesses to operate responsibly. A real example would be a mini golf course, required to close by a specific hour to comply with local noise ordinances. This law shows that even harmless entertainment can become a legal issue. And the next law decides something even more personal: how many animals you're allowed to love. Owning too many pets requires a permit. Most people think owning pets is a personal choice. But in California, Loving too many animals can legally require government permission. In 1994, the city of San Jose passed an ordinance limiting the number of dogs and cats a household could own without a permit. The background of this law came from a growing crisis: animal hoarding. Shelters were overcrowded, neighborhoods were dealing with noise complaints, and many animals were found living in unsafe, unhealthy conditions. Lawmakers realized that without limits, animals often suffered the most. The effect of the law was to encourage responsible ownership rather than punishment. Residents who wanted more than the allowed number of pets had to prove they could properly care for them. A real example would be a household owning 5 dogs being required to apply for a permit, allowing inspections to ensure humane treatment. While some view the law as intrusive, it reflects a broader effort to protect animals from neglect. And if you think regulating pets is extreme, wait until you hear about a law written for animals that could crush a car. Elephants must be on a leash in San Francisco. This law sounds ridiculous today, but when it was written in the 1920s, it made perfect sense. San Francisco regularly hosted traveling circuses, parades, and exotic animal exhibitions. Elephants were often walked through city streets with minimal restraint, posing obvious risks. The background of this law came from public safety concerns after incidents involving large animals damaging property or frightening residents. The ordinance required elephants to be properly restrained while in public areas. The effect of this law today is symbolic, but it remains legally valid. A real-world example would involve a circus transporting an elephant through the city, legally required to keep the animal secured. This law stands as a time capsule of a different era. And strangely enough, California later turned its attention from giant animals to plants hiding in plain sight. Certain plants are illegal to grow. In the 1990s, California began cracking down on more than just crime. It targeted dangerous plants. Some cities banned specific species known to be highly toxic, invasive, or environmentally destructive. The background of these laws involved children and pets being poisoned by common ornamental plants, as well as invasive species destroying native ecosystems. The effect of the law is preventative. It stops danger before it starts. For example, plants like oleander, which look harmless but are extremely poisonous, have been restricted in certain residential zones. Homeowners unaware of the law could be fined or ordered to remove the plants. This regulation shows that danger doesn't always look threatening, and the next law proves that even sound itself once became a legal problem. No whistling for a lost canary before 7 a.m. In the early 1900s, Berkeley took noise control extremely seriously. At the time, cities were becoming more crowded, and early morning noise was considered a serious disturbance. The background of this law came from residents constantly complaining about loud whistling, often used to call pets like canaries. The ordinance banned whistling during early morning hours to preserve peace. The effect of this law today is mostly historical, but it reflects how strictly cities once regulated daily behavior. A real example would have been someone fined for loudly whistling outside at dawn, even if they were searching for a lost pet. It's a reminder that personal emergencies didn't always outweigh community rules. And finally, the last law proves that even simple games were once tightly controlled. Bingo games must be open to the public. In 1976, California regulated bingo games to prevent illegal gambling and corruption. The background of this law was the misuse of bingo as a cover for underground gambling operations. To combat this, the state required bingo games to be publicly accessible and often linked them to charitable purposes. The effect of the law was transparency and oversight. Private, for-profit bingo games became restricted, while public and non-profit games were allowed. A real example would be a private club being fined for hosting exclusive bingo nights without public access. This law shows that even harmless entertainment can become a legal concern when money is involved. And if these laws surprised you, remember, California is just one state. These laws sound unbelievable, but they're real, and California isn't even the strangest.